Recording in progress.
I've been informed by the clerk that we are ready, so we will call the meeting to order. Roll call by the county clerk.
We have 28 present and 2 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Supervisor Callahan, could you lead us? Supervisor Callahan, could you lead us? Could you lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's take a moment to think about our job this evening. Thank you. Please be seated. In compliance with the open meetings law.
We are, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll entertain approval of the agenda. I suggest two things to change here. On item number 10, it should be, excuse me, there's 2 A's, so it should be A, B, C, D on item number 10. And secondly, public comment pertaining for things on the agenda needs to be added between items 7 and 8. So we'll do that right before annual reports, public comment. If everybody's all right with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. So moved by Supervisor Jekyll. Do I have a second? Second by Supervisor Morris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Approval of minutes. Mr. Winnicky.
I would move approval of the October 11th and October 25th minutes as presented.
Who is the second? Second, Mr. Paulson. Additions, subtractions, questions? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Communications.
Okay, you should have the Highway Committee report regarding the ATV-UTV ordinance review. The next thing is the notice of public hearing for planning and zoning, November 17th of 2022, 7 p.m. Right here. And then you should have the Blue Treasures monthly report. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Now we have public comment. Mr. Messmer, David Messmer, please come up to the mic. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Dave Messmer. I am here because of the Highway Committee resolution that's number 11 on the agenda. And I am the adjoining landowner who is affected by this resolution. The land that the county is asking to vacate and sell, which has been used as a public way, and was purchased from my great uncle's adjoining land to be used for highway right-of-way purposes in 1969, has been used continually since 1969 by our family members as the access point for the fields, which my immediate family now own. that were separated when New Highway B was constructed. If you look at the whereases of the resolution, the third whereas says it's no longer needed for Jefferson County to maintain this property as a public way or continue ownership. The land was bought when they relocated Highway B for the purposes that I believe it's still serving to this day. That land was not county-owned before Highway B was relocated. And the fourth whereas, we also use this driveway as our only access point to those fields and that land. And then I just wanted to direct your attention to the Wisconsin State Statute 66.1005, which speaks of reversion of title. I'm just going to read a little piece of it here. When any highway or public ground acquired or held for highway purposes is discontinued, the land where the highway or public ground is located shall belong to the owner or owners of the adjoining lands. If the highway or public ground is located between the lands of different owners, it shall be annexed to the lots to which it originally belonged, if that can be ascertained. If the lots to which the land originally belonged cannot be ascertained, the land shall be equally divided between the owners of the lands on each side of the highway or public ground. That parcel and that public way that were used as a public way and as a for highway purposes, we still have land adjoining to it, and that land actually came from my great uncle's farm back in 1969. And so that's why I'm opposed to that resolution. And I guess I'm under 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. That takes us to annual reports, fair parking. Amy. Is it concerning something on the agenda? Yes, you did sign up. Is it something on the agenda? If it's of general comment, then it comes at the end. If it concerns what that's on the agenda, you can. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm in agreement with Mr. Messmer had said, and the county had put a culvert in also to the east of this questionable property, and they've known about this for years. And I was concerned that that's going to be another different little split, that there's a little wedge that would actually be to the east side of this. And they knew this was a problem. I don't know why they didn't locate the culvert, at that time properly. The culvert got put in 2 years ago. So that's what's my concerns why I voted against this.
Okay, then that takes us to annual report. Fair Park, Amy Little.
There we go. Okay. Hello, I'm Amy Listel, the director at the Jefferson County Fair Park, and tonight I present to you the Fair Park's annual report for 2022. The Jefferson County Fair Park provides a county-owned facility for all citizens where young and old can gather to display their talents, accomplishments, and celebrate their cultures, thereby promoting education, entertainment, and economic growth in Jefferson County. In 2022, we have been home to 229 events so far, whether they are paid events such as car show, dog show, gem and mineral show, or they are interdepartmental events with UW Extension and 4-H, human services banquets, or sheriff's departments trainings, or our own events like the Dairy Breakfast, the Independence Day celebration, and the Jefferson County Fair. There is something for everyone at some point throughout the year. Many local organizations use our facility for fundraising opportunities and giving back to our communities, such as Ruby's Pantry, who serves around 600 to 700 families a month, Christmas Neighbors, helping hundreds of families over the holidays, and organizations like Jefferson Rotary Club, Jefferson County Agribusiness Club, and Jefferson Kiwanis are just some of the groups who use money raised at our facility to provide scholarships and programming to youth in our county. Our department partners with 40 local businesses that provide in-kind or financial support to the Fair Park throughout the year, including Premier Bank, Fort Healthcare, Jones Dairy Farm, Gallett's Grading, Daybreak Foods, Frank Beer, Pepsi, and many others. This year, it is estimated that we had visitors from 35 states at the Fair Park, and our partnership with the Jefferson County Area Tourism Council to create the Jefferson County Visitor Center in our Activity Center lobby was a huge hit, and we look forward to growing that program. Our impact on tourism was also recognized by the Department of Administration as we were awarded a $242,000 tourism capital grant that will assist with facility upgrades over the next 3 years. The 169th edition of the Jefferson County Fair took place this past July with the theme Year of the Sheep and welcomed 39,473 fairgoers in 5 days. The barns and buildings were decorated with facts about sheep, thousands of blue ribbons, and special awards. The exhibitors' hard work and the outpouring support of the community helped the Jefferson County Animal Auction and Youth Celebration be successful. And new layouts in the food vendor, carnival, and grandstand areas greatly improved crowd and line management to continue to make the fair a safe place to be. The 2023 Jefferson County Fair will be held July 12th through the 16th, and the theme next year will be Year of the Arts. The Jefferson County Fair has a variety of arts that are showcased each year, including painting, pottery, photography, music, and drama. I'd like to thank everyone for supporting the Fair Park year-round. Our events and programs bring so much joy to so many people, and it helps make our community a great place. It's a pleasure to work there and be a part of the great team that Jefferson County has, and I appreciate your time tonight. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Any questions for Amy? Seeing none, thank you very much. Veteran Service, Yvonne Diesterhave.
Good evening. I'm Yvonne Diesterhave. I'm the County Veteran Service Officer, so I'm the person who assists veterans and their families in navigating the bureaucracy that is the state and federal government. My department includes myself, a Deputy Veteran Service Officer, Jean Osman. This year in 2022, we were grateful to be funded for the veteran service benefits position and also a 19-hour per week clerk. With that staff, the big news currently, you may have heard that President Biden signed the PACT Act, which is sweeping legislation that covers a lot of the, well, they're called presumptive conditions, but like Agent Orange, the burn pits, radiation, any contaminants that a person may have come in contact with while on active duty that causes illnesses later in their life, many cancers. I wanted to take the opportunity tonight to highlight a few things, because I always say that our job is that we're looking for people that are not looking for us. And for that, I need the help of everyone here who is a brother, many veterans have relatives that may work in the county or be your neighbor or somebody at church, and literally you are the connection to that person. We have a really incredible array of benefits here in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is top tier with the benefits that are afforded to our veterans, but if a person does not know that there's assistance to get it, they may try, they may fail, they may give up on getting veterans health care or disability benefits or VA pension. This is where I can use your help. I gave you a handout about our program. We're doing a Veterans Benefits Roadshow. We will go anywhere to any community at any time for as small a number of people as you might have that might be interested. Not just veterans. Family members and friends can be the link that we need to the person who does not know to call us for assistance with the benefits. I've given you a summary of benefits, because I think that if you read through that, you may, and the presumptive conditions, you may read through that and realize that somebody that you've had coffee with or saw at church has one of these illnesses. And even if a veteran died of one of these conditions and they have a surviving spouse or children, you could be the difference to letting them know that they just need to call our office. Getting back into our report, and I apologize that you did not have it in advance, and I will send digital copies of all of these things through Audrey. You can forward out to everyone the digital copies? Okay. In general, the Veteran Service Office is funded by county tax levy. We do not charge anyone for our services. The grant that we get from the Wisconsin Department of Veteran Affairs just went up. It has been $13,000 since 1997, and this was the first year that it increased to $14,300. And we hope we may see some additional funds to the county. There is a federal piece of legislation which is rumored to push about $1.5 million to the state and through the state to the counties, but nothing official yet. Let's see. Veteran Service Commission. This is the vehicle we use to assist veterans in very quickly to help if they need gas cards to get to their medical appointments or for job searches. If they've hit a bump in the road and maybe are in transition with a job, looking for a job, we can assist with Veteran Service Commission aid up to $500 per person. But given that we only have about $3,500 a year in tax levy, we do rely on generous donations that come in from community and service organizations. Our transportation program is a lifelink to many veterans. We're so lucky in Wisconsin that we have a fabulous VA healthcare system in full-blown hospitals in Madison and Milwaukee, clinics in Janesville and Beaver Dam, but they might as well be on the moon if you don't have a ride to get to them. So we lease, and we have since 2009, leased a van from the Madison VA Hospital. We pay $2,808 per year, and the VA, the federal VA, gives us a credit card to put gas in the tank, and we get volunteer drivers. Before we had that program, we were struggling. The annual cost of just transporting veterans was going up. It went from $5,000 to $7,000 to $10,000. It hit $20,000 in 2009, and we said, and it was going to continue going up. So we were very grateful to get the GSA lease, and in 2019, we were gifted a 2004 Lexus, which we use to transport veterans to other destinations besides the VA. As you might imagine, the van going to the Madison VA might have 4 or 5 people on it, but if I have someone that needs to go to the Milwaukee VA or one of the other clinics, well, they're just out of luck. This vehicle has really helped us provide transportation for veterans. I would like to highlight for the 200,000-ish price of our services to county tax levy, the amount of money that comes into Jefferson County through the pockets of veterans who qualify for disability benefits, long-term pension care benefits, education benefits, VA health care, is a whopping $47,106,000 in 2021. And you can bet that that's going to go up. Has anybody here not heard about the Camp Lejeune? Yeah. And all the lawyers that are advertising and want to sign people up, when someone goes, let's just say they have some kind of a cancer, whatever, I mean, it's different ones, but let's say it's a cancer that's presumptive, it's an active cancer, so it's 100% disability. 100% disability from the VA is a minimum of $3,200 a month. So us being able to connect that family with those resources, which may have ended someone's career early or forced them out of their work because of their ill health, it keeps people from being homeless, but it definitely puts money into our economy. So let's see, I don't want to, as Ben knows, somebody's going to come up here and get the shepherd's hook and drag me out of here. But we talked a little bit about the PACT Act. That's very important in including a lot of veterans that have been excluded up to this point from even getting enrolled in VA healthcare. In closing, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping me help people. I have the best job in the county. Don't let anybody tell you any different. If there's any questions, you can find me currently at our temporary location, which is the Fort Community Credit Union at the intersection of Highway 18 and 26. We're above the carport that connects the Bonton Bakery to the Fort Community Credit Union. And don't think that was an accident when we were looking for places. The best place to be in the county right now is right next door to the bakery. I thank you very much for your time and attention, and any questions can be directed to my office. Thank you.
Any questions? Excuse me. Any questions? Thank you very much, Yvonne. Brings us to zoning and land information. Mr. Matt Zangle.
Just real quick, you probably noticed that your tablets were disconnected. I don't know what happened. It kicked me out too. So I am now back in. I remarked everybody present. I'm not sure how the voting part is going to go, so I guess we'll see when we get there.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Zangle, Director of Planning and Zoning Department, Land Information Office. Tonight, instead of going over our annual report, I figured I'd take the opportunity to highlight a few of the tools that the Land Information Office maintains. And you can watch the board here and I'll show you. So the first one is a land records search site, and for most of these sites, the easiest way to get to them is just to Google them. Otherwise, they are on the county website. So the land records search site allows you to search for parcels to get to all of the parcel data that the county houses. And excuse me, because my thingy is blocking all my bookmarks. Ooh. All right, we will just wing it. So here you should be able to at least see most of it. So the land records site allows you to search. So you simply just go in and put in the address number or the parcel number, and that will bring you to a second screen of which lists your search criteria. So from there you can search on or click on the parcel number, and that'll bring you to a different site. Or if you wanted to go to the GIS site, there's a link right there that will take you right to it. So I pulled up the county courthouse, 311 South Center Ave. So I can click the parcel number, and that will bring up all of the parcel information that we have for it. So a lot of different information here. If there's any zoning permits issued or any zoning petitions, those are all listed and they're hyperlinked, so you can click on each of those and that'll take you to the actual document. So if you're looking for something on your property, it's simple enough to go here, click on the link, and pull up that permit that you got a couple of years ago. There are some other features here that don't show up on the county's parcel that I'll show you in a second. The second site is the county's GIS website, and this again is more the mapping side of the land information and land records items. I brought up the building we're sitting in here tonight at the County Highway Department, and there's a lot of different tools. I'll give you just a quick breeze over of all the different features and items, but certainly I could sit here and talk for hours and hours about all the different features that can do this, and each time us as staff use it, we continue to learn and learn more items. So in the upper right-hand corner, we have different categories. So the first one is the base map. That's where a lot of our air photos are stored. So you can click and pull up different air photos. There's a legend, and then the next one over is all the different layers. And there's county zoning, environmental corridors, which shows any floodplains and wetlands that are on the property. And you can drop these down and pull up more information, turn on different layers. All the floodplain layers, for example, we have all the floodplain layers digitized and mapped dating back to kind of what we can. 2009 is the latest that's mapped. But that goes on and on and on, and there's different sorts of information, streams, rivers, so on and so forth. There's a lot of information stored in here, and the easiest obviously is just to start clicking and viewing around. So again, there's the building we sit in here today. Continuing down, again, there's a whole bunch of different information and layers that we maintain and house. Sometimes one of the more fun layers is the very last one, which is the historical air photos. And we have, going back till 1996, we have additional air photos that we're trying to get uploaded. A project for a later date, but easily available is 1996, and you can clearly see our building here today was not there in 1996. Another feature of the website is you can then click on the parcel, obviously, and pull up all that same information that we're just seeing in the land records site. So the two sites really connect to each other, go back and forth, and talk to each other. So you can bring up the property owner, their mailing address, legal description, the size of the parcel, the assessment, so on and so forth. Then at the bottom, you can hit the more info, and that'll bring you right back to the land records site. One key feature here, again, we're at the land records site. You can go down and you can find all the recorded documents. So if you want to see your latest deeds, you can click on that, pull up your property, and then click the hyperlink, and that'll take you to the Register of Deeds option to purchase a copy of that document. So that's my nitty-gritty, quick and dirty overview of the GIS site and the land records site. There's a lot of information stored on these. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out, but I thought I'd just bring those to your attention as they can be useful when we're starting to talk about zoning related items at County Board. The last one I actually wanted to show you was in relation to the resolution for pictometry tonight. That button here is right on the upper left-hand corner, and that'll bring up pictometry, which is basically a 3D view of the air photo. So you can zoom in, play around, mess around. You can see the river in this case and all the 3D renditions of those buildings. And we have additional data or additional flight maps. If you get really curious, you can go back to the 2008. The county flew pictometry in 2008 before the flood, and then just happened that year that we had the flood, so we have multiple flights along with that contract showing different stages of the flood. So that can be kind of interesting to look back and see how high did the river really get in 2008. Mr. Chair, that's all I have for you.
Any questions for Mr. Zangle while he's up here? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Matt.
The only question I have, Matt, is, for pulling up the PDFs and for the permits, has that gotten a little better?
Since when?
I'd say within the last couple months.
If it's scanned in our system, it's available there. So sometimes you'll run into something that was recently issued that isn't scanned yet, and then that permit won't show up. But if it's scanned and that goes back, there might be a segment where you're a couple of months behind where we haven't scanned. But if it's there, it's there. Obviously, with IT, we run into some issues. I think the last couple of weeks there was an issue with that software system bugging out, but that's been rectified now. So I believe it's pretty good. If you have issues, certainly reach out. A lot of times we don't know an issue exists because we don't use the public side as frequently, so we won't know until you tell us.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Thank you, Matt. That takes us to committee reports, resolutions, and ordinance. Item number 9, County Administrator. Resolution in memoriam of Richard Augie Teets.
Resolution number 22? 53. Memorial for Richard Augie Teets. Whereas Augie Teets of Watertown was born on December 13th, 1937 and died on November 4th, 2022. And whereas Augie Teets served on the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors for District 4 from July 2009 until January 2021. And whereas as a County Board Supervisor, Augie served on the Human Services Board, Board of Health, Economic Development Consortium, Law Enforcement Emergency Management Committee, Parks Committee, Strategic Planning Committee, Veteran Service Commission, and the Wisconsin River Rail Transit Commission, serving as chairs on several committees. And whereas Augie was very involved with his community, giving countless hours to the Watertown Rotary Club, Watertown Main Street Program, United Way, Interurban Bike Trail Initiative, Watertown Elks Club, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Watertown, and served as the alderman for City of Watertown. And whereas Augie has been recognized for the planning and securing funds for the construction of the Interurban Trail, Court Park, and Cappy's Landing during his service as a Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. And whereas it is fitting for Augie Teets to be recognized by the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors for his public service, dedication, and thoughtfulness, which will be missed by many. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, meeting this 15th day of November 2022, do hereby extend a sincere sympathy to the family of Augie Teets, along with this recognition of the service and dedication to the citizens of Jefferson County.
So moved by Supervisor Brogler, second by Supervisor Morris. Questions, discussion? All I can say was I don't think Augie had an enemy in the world. He's the nicest guy I ever want to meet, and I'll miss him. All in favor of this resolution, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. Rest in peace, Augie. Godspeed. Takes us to Finance Committee. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the non-countywide levy budget, the countywide levy budget, and the functional totals as stated in the 2023 recommended budget be adopted.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Paulson. Budget is now open for discussion. We have one budget amendment, I believe. Mr. Smith, you want to present your?
My concern is with what the public comment was last time with our former employees having to pay the entire $800 towards the health care because we've changed our minds and changed plans for the second time. To me, that $800 is just more than somebody should be expected to pay, that all of a sudden a quarter of their pension or something is gone because we changed our minds, and I'm proposing we cover at least half of it. And as far as how to pay for it, I would have to ask several questions. All of a sudden in the budget this year, to help pay our soft costs on the courthouse remodel, we had $2 million worth of carryover. I'd have to ask if that was spent, and if there isn't some part of that we could pay for this, and then next year when we have carryover, somehow replace what was already expected to be spent on the courthouse. I see we have carryover in departments from last year that still isn't spent. I have to ask if there's any money there. In the budget, this year we had $10 million that went to the courthouse. I'd have to ask if we've spent all of that money, and if there isn't a portion of that that we couldn't use and replace next year. That, to me, this is very important. Whether we're throwing our current employees or former employees under the bus, I think it sets a very bad example as we try to find people to work here, and the people who do work here to think that the longer you work here, as soon as you retire, we're going to throw you under the bus. I just think it sets a horrible example, and I think we need to come up with a way to figure out how to pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy, do you put is your budget on motion on the floor? Did you move to adopt your budget amendment?
Okay, I move to amend the budget to.
Do I have a second for this?
Covering the.
I believe, did everybody get a copy of this? Okay. I need a second. I will second it for discussion purposes. Anybody? Supervisor Jones.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to call on Administrator Waymeyer to answer some of Supervisor Smith's questions.
Mr. Waymeyer, you have the floor.
So a quick go through a couple numbers that were tossed out there. So yes, we had $2 million in carryover funds. The board has committed those funds. It does not mean they've been spent, but from our standpoint, they have been obligated. Obligated is a technical term too, but committed towards the project. The board would have the discretion if they would choose to pull those funds to replace them. Those have not been spent yet, but they're going towards the total project cost. There's about $10 million mentioned as well. Legally, those cannot be spent. Those $10 million are general obligation bonds set aside for a specific purpose. Operational cost, you cannot use bond funding for by law. And so that would not be a permissible use of those expenditures. Yes, we have a long list of carryover funds that we do on a normal basis. We'd identify specifically on those that are more from the general fund balance. There are also restricted funds that are shown in that carryover response. And so we'd have to, if the board seeks it, we'd have to identify which source of revenue you'd be looking at.
Mr. Jones?
Supervisor Smith mentioned that we changed our minds, and I guess technically we did. But we were motivated by the increase in rates from the Dean plan that we were that we are under, or that we are presently under. Their increases were 25% this year, 25% next year, and no, they wouldn't even give us a cap number for the third year. We estimate that we would have saved about $3 million by changing. So I'm getting at, we changed for economic reasons, not just to change our minds. This $3 million saved allowed us to give present employees raises, COLA increases, and helped with budget of capital items. So, you know, if you take from one, you got to give back to someone else. So, thank you.
Any other discussion, questions? Supervisor Backlund.
My question would be, with those increases, how would that equate to the retirees? What would that be impact versus this? Do we have a number for that? If we stayed the course, how would that have impacted the retirees as far as their cost for health care? Thank you.
Supervisor Jones.
To sort of answer Mr. Backlund, I believe it was a very small number to begin with, as sort of represented by just the one person here at the public hearing. And a lot of those people, Terry Palm, our Human Resource Director, has done an excellent job of reaching out to those folks and explain to them, we are not kicking these people to the curb. They have choices, and the most common one being the marketplace. And I'm not sure on the exact numbers, but quite a few have gone out to the marketplace and seem to be satisfied with what they found. So if Ms. Palm is here, if she would like to address that a little further.
Ms. Palm, would you care to address the board? You have to turn it on.
Okay, technology, not my friend. So Supervisor Jones is correct. There were, and I have the numbers up in front of me, there were at least 9 people, retirees, who have waived coverage going forward because they did find affordable coverage in the marketplace, including the individuals that were here to present before us at the last meeting. In fact, there was a handful, I can think of 4 or 5 people that said they're going to be paying less in 2023 than they're paying today in 2022. Yes, they're going to a higher deductible, but with the lower premiums, it more than makes up for that. My plan is for the remaining 8 people that have signed up is reaching out to them and making sure, reiterating to them the resources that are available to them and making sure that they know their choices. And we have about a third of the retirees who have not responded. It was not a requirement for them to actually fill out an application and either sign up or waive, but there's about a third of them that have not. And I'm not sure, was your question of what was being addressed, or is that if we stayed with Dean, what the cost would be for the retiree? It would, in 2023, it would be a little bit less than what this is, but going forward in 2024 and 2025, if the county would make no contribution, it would be extremely higher than where we're going with this. Okay. They would have the full impact of that 25%.
Mr. Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As a member of the Finance Committee, we did have a lengthy discussion with input from Ben Waymeyer and Mark DeVries on the details of the effect of this proposal. And what it reminds me of is a cliche we've heard before, and we all are familiar with, but it goes like this: for every complex problem, there's a solution that's simple, obvious, and wrong. And I feel that this is wrong for a reason, which is it calls for an across-the-board cut to the budget. We spent quite a bit of time looking at each department's proposal for their budget and identifying all the places that the budget was effective, the narrative from each person from each department describing their work in each department was pretty convincing, and we've got a budget. It's not cost-free if you just have an across-the-board budget cut to serve the interests of this, the argument that Supervisor Smith is making is that these are sympathetic characters who are impacted by this cost. But we should not forget that each department serves people throughout the county. So whether it's Parks or Human Services or the Health Department or Sheriff's Department, the money that's spent in those departments' budgets helps people all across the county. And if you remove some of that money, somebody's going to be affected. They're not obvious who that's going to be. They may not know it. We may not realize it. But it's important. All these monies are spent in important ways. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion concerning this amendment? Supervisor Jones.
I just have one last thing. I'd like to just stress, when you look at the sheet that was handed out this evening with Supervisor Smith's motion on it, on the bottom there is the vote of the Finance Committee, and it was 5-0, and it was a very strong 5-0. There was really no discussion in defense of the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? Supervisor Smith.
So what I'm hearing is we're going to save $3 million, and instead of saving $2,960,000, we've got to go and save $3 million, and there's nothing we can do to help cover the cost for our former employees. So as we try to hire new people, and we tell our people that as soon as you retire and it's convenient for us, if we change your health care, expect to get stuck with the bill, and we're going to do nothing about it. You know, that's what I'm hearing here.
Mr. Zarling.
With respect to Supervisor Smith, I really take exception to portraying this with terms like throwing people under the bus. and trying to myopically boil this down to something as absurd as making a choice. These are, it's been explained to you by Supervisor Christensen. You know, with all respect, I just don't appreciate the way that you're portraying the hard work that many of these people in this board do day in and day out.
Any other discussion, comments? Supervisor Backlund.
I just want to make one more comment. So we're actually saving them money in the long run. If you listened to what was just said, had we stayed the course, in 2 years they would be paying more than that $800 a month. Did you not understand that?
Yes, I understand that. I just think the fact that they are expected to pay an extra $800 a month, if I was the one having to pay it, I would not be happy about it at all. And I can't think but with the savings that we're going to get, that there has to be a way we can come up with this. You know, we come up with $2 million and carry over for the courthouse. We've got, you know, money coming here or there. We're going to have carryover money next year. That I think this is the kind of thing that comes back to bite you, and to not try to make some kind of effort to remedy this. I can't help but think it's going to cost us far more in the end than it is now. So whether my diplomacy lacks some, whatever you want to call it, you know, when you're the one paying the extra $800 because we switched the plans, to me it would make me very unhappy.
Anyone else? Supervisor Backlund.
And this will be my last comment, but I understand what you're saying. You'd be very unhappy. But how much more unhappy would you be if you were paying $1,000 more than that? That's the point of all of this, is to curb it. So anyhow, you're saying you'd be upset, but you'd be probably more upset if you were paying more than that. That's all I'm saying.
I just can't help but think we could find a way to come up with the money at the point we're saving $3 million somewhere with an extra $40,000. I don't think that it would be that.
Please address the chair.
So I'm done.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we will be voting on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye.
No. Aye.
The amendment fails. Do we have any other amendments from the floor? Any other amendments from the floor? Lastly, any other amendments from the floor? Seeing none, Supervisor Jones.
I move to divide the question on the countywide and non-countywide levy budgets.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Paulson. Any questions, discussion on that? Otherwise, we'll vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And Supervisor Jones. Again.
Resolution number 2022-54, establishing a non-countywide levies for health and library services. Whereas the non-countywide budget for 2023 containing total department appropriations and levies is apportioned to the municipalities benefiting from the services furnished, and be it further resolved that the requirement established by Jefferson County's fund balance policy to retain 2 months of current year budget expenditures in the health department fund balance is hereby suspended for the 2023 budget year, and that the health department's ending fund balance shall not be budgeted at an amount less than 1 month of the current year's budget expenditures. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the sums listed below be levied upon all property in Jefferson County that is taxable for the purpose listed. Health Department, $914,512. Library Services, $1,179,470. Be it further resolved that the above amounts be apportioned to equalized values as established by the State Department of Revenues. Fiscal note, the health mill rate is .1063, and the library mill rate .2404 per $1,000 of equalized value. In 2022, the health mill rate was .1226, and the library mill rate was .2801 for decreases of .0163 and .0397 in the health and library mill rates respectively. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Jones, second by Supervisor Paulson. Discussion on the non-levy, the non-countywide levy for health and library services. Discussions, questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Oh, I believe that was an aye. Opposed? Hearing none. It is passed. Supervisor Jones.
Before I read the next resolution, I believe this 2023 budget is a very positive budget, not only for the next year, but into the future. We meet the needs of our constituents as demand increases for services we provide. The budget allows for pay and COLA increases, which reward our employees and helps with retention and hiring. The budget was based on strategic and comprehensive plans developed over past years. I would like to thank County Administrator Ben Waymeyer, CFO Mark DeRise, and their staffs, department heads for their cooperation, and my fellow Finance Committee members for everyone's hard work and leadership. Resolution number 2022-55, establishing countywide levy and fees. Whereas the proposed 2023 county budget was submitted to the board by the county administrator on October 11, 2022, and whereas the proposed 2023 county budget was the subject of a public hearing on October 25, 2022, and whereas the board was considered all amendments, now therefore be it resolved that the authorized positions, the total appropriation for each governmental function is shown below, fund balance application assignments in the recommended budget book, and the levy contained in the countywide portion of the 2023 budget be levied as a county tax to be raised on the 2022 tax rolls as follows. Be further resolved that the above amount be apportioned according to equalized values established by the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. Be it further resolved that the fee schedule for various license, permits, and services used to establish revenue amounts in the budget are hereby approved. Fiscal note. As presented, the countywide levy is proposed at $33,762,184, which is a mill rate of $3.0309 for general operations and .4107 for debt service fund, for a total of $3.4416 per $1,000 of taxable value. In 2022, the countywide levy was $31,392,371, with a general operation mill rate of $3.3342 and debt service mill rate of .4369, for a decrease of .3034 per $1,000 of taxable value for the 2023 general operations, and a decrease of .0261 per $1,000 per taxable value for the 2023 debt service. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Jekyll. Questions, discussion on the floor? Supervisor Morris.
I'm just asking, are we electronically capable of voting now? Do we have enough people that are? Can't tell.
No.
Because we did a voice vote on this last one, and I'm not complaining. I just want to know, did you want to try to do this electronically?
If you would request anybody can.
I'm not necessarily requesting. I'm asking if Audrey's capable of, because we're all in. Is our technology capable?
Yeah, I think for these past ones, they didn't require the electronic
They didn't
voting.
require them, but we can
But
request a roll call. Any supervisor can if they
my
desire.
goal is to try it for the one that does require the 2/3 vote, unless you want to do it sooner.
Okay.
Which would be the next one.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions concerning this resolution? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Thank you very much, Finance Committee, for all the hard work that you've
We're
done.
not
over-
done yet, Mr.
Oh,
Chair.
yeah. On the budget, Now, I believe.
Well, we
this-
got to amend the budget we just
I
passed.
believe this is a separate sheet we're speaking of here. I think it's a white sheet that was passed out. So that brings us to item D, resolution amending the 2023 budget for various Jefferson County departments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution number 2022-57, amending the 2023 budget for various Jefferson County departments. Subsequent to the Finance Committee budget hearings and presentation of the 2023 budget to the Board of Supervisors and public hearing on the 2023 budget, several departments have received further information regarding their budgets. As a result, the following amendments are proposed to the 2023 budget. Land and Water Conservation Department, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has approved an additional $72,500 of federal awards for the purchase of a conservation easement. The county's match would increase by $36,250 to $58,122 and will be funded by carryover funds from the existing PACE program. This will reduce the carryover amount in the Land and Water Conservation Department from $94,372 to $58,122. The payment to the landowner will increase by $108,750 to $228,750. Register of Deeds. The Register of Deeds is proposing to move their land record files from Jefferson County servers to a cloud-based storage solution. This will save the county by not having to purchase servers in the future, but it will create ongoing maintenance and licensing costs. For 2023, the Register of Deeds office will use $8,000 of funding from its back indexing project funds that were carried forward in 2022, and the Land Information Department will fund the remaining $8,000 from fees it collects that are restricted for land records. This will reduce the carryover amount in the Land Information Department from $264,549 to $256,549. Human Services. A, the department wishes to reclassify an amount of $48,000 previously budgeted in an operating account to a capital account to purchase new playground equipment. B, the department wishes to combine 2 part-time positions in the Parent Supporting Parents program into 1 full-time position. This change does not affect total full-time equivalents or any budget amount, but it does change the position detailed, which is presented in the budget document. C, due to recent licensing and statutory changes, Jefferson County will develop 2 levels of psychotherapy position. Psychotherapist 1, undergrad, and Psychotherapist 2, graduate. This change will not affect the total full-time equivalents or any budget amounts, but change the classification of authorized positions, which is presented in the budget document. 4, Alcohol Drug Treatment Court. The state of Wisconsin approved enhancements to the Alcohol Drug Treatment Court program by increasing the cost allocation for case managers in order to reduce turnover, funding 50% of a psychotherapist position to facilitate a women's intensive outpatient treatment program, enhance support specialist service with a focus on agricultural clients, and provide enhancements to assist with flexible testing. This will increase state aid by $30,647 to $262,674 and the county match by $42,817. Jefferson County will use ARPA funding for the increase in the county match. Fiscal note. Please see the attached budget amendment sheet for specific line item changes. This is a budget amendment. County Board approval requires a 2/3 vote of the entire membership of the County Board, 20 votes of the 30-member County Board. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Mr. Jones. Do I have a second? Second by Supervisor Drainham. Discussion, questions?
The only question I have is what happens when
Who is speaking?
Gross.
Supervisor Gross, you're recognized.
With the ARPA difference, when that's gone, how would it be continued to be funded?
Anybody care to answer? Mr. Waymire.
So we're planning to phase that out within the 2 years and looking at other levy amounts that would take the place of that, assuming the state will continue to honor that amount of enhanced funding past that 2-year cycle.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Seeing none, we'll try our tablets. Needs a 2/3 vote.
Supervisor Richardson,
Aye.
Supervisor Herbst,
Aye.
Supervisor Kennard,
Aye.
Supervisor Coots, Supervisor Paulson, Supervisor Gulig. You're muted.
Just trying to say aye.
Aye, okay. And just to clarify, this is resolution number 56. It passes with 27 yes, 1 no, and 2 absent.
Thank you. I'll find my agenda here. Takes us to item 11, Highway Committee, resolution introducing resolution to vacate and discontinue a public way. Supervisor Jekyll.
Resolution number 2022-57, introducing resolution to vacate, discontinue public way. Jefferson County received an offer to purchase remnant parcel of property adjoining County Highway B in the town of Aslan, which was originally purchased by Jefferson County for the purpose of highway right-of-way. The offer was made by Rick Winter and Bridget Olson, who own the adjoining property and use this parcel of county-owned property as their only access to the residents. The attached exhibit shows the boundaries of the parcel and that the adjoining landowners encompassing approximately 0.6 acres. Wisconsin Statute 83.08 authorizes county to sell property owned by the highway, owned for highway purposes at public or private sale. When the county board shall determine that such a property is no longer necessary for the county's use of highway purposes, before the county can sell this remnant parcel, the county must first vacate and discontinue that portion of Highway B which remains a public way pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 66.1003, parenthesis 4. The surrounding landowner has been provided notice of this sale and stated his objections to the Highway Committee. After considering the arguments of both adjoining landowners, Jefferson County Highway Committee recommended forwarding this resolution to the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors to approve vacating and discontinuing that portion of Highway B, which remains a public way, and selling said parcel to Rick Winter and Bridget Olson based on the fact the property is the only access point to their adjoining property and the right-of-way is no longer necessary for the county's use for highway purposes. The Highway Committee's decision was also based on the Highway Commissioner's offer to construct an alternate secondary access to Highway B for the other adjoining landowner. Before the county board can act on resolution to vacate and discontinue a public way, public hearing must be held not less than 40 days after the date on which this resolution is introduced, with notice served on owners of all frontage of the lots and lands abutting the public way at least 30 days before the public hearing. This resolution is for the purpose of introducing the matter to the county board, with formal action being taken on January 2023 county board meeting to determine whether or not that portion of Highway B, which remains a public way, should be vacated and discontinued, at which time a formal plat of survey and legal description will be provided to the county board. And the fiscal note, this resolution has no fiscal impact. I move for adoption of this resolution, or do I mean to postpone it? I'm not sure which way I'm supposed to say it for the Mr. Ward, do you
Move for adoption.
move for adoption of this resolution?
Second by Mr. Paulson. Questions, discussion? Supervisor Smith.
Is there a reason that the land in front of the CS Unz Trust can't go to that farm? Instead of giving that sliver to the neighboring property owner, why can't it just be split down where the,
It is being split where you see the red line, it is being split off.
no, but is it going to two different people?
Well, no, the county will still, if they want to buy that, but that's not part of the, that would still be maintained by the county, that little tip.
So we're not selling the little sliver in front of the Unz farm to the neighbor? We're not doing that? Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Supervisor Lund.
I'd like a further explanation of the statutory analysis presented by the other adjoining landowner who spoke during public comment. They seem to say that there was statutory language prescribing how a situation like this should be approached in terms of dividing the land among the various surrounding landowners.
The section that was referenced by Mr. Mesmer, 66.1005, references land that was held for highway purposes reverting to the former owners. That section isn't clear, but if you look closely at it, that deals with highways that have been dedicated to a city, county, town, or village through an easement or just a simple dedication without fee ownership. What I was proceeding under and what I've referenced in the resolution is based on section 83.08. It's titled Acquisition of Lands and Interests Therein. There's a specific section that says the county board is authorized and empowered to sell at public sale or private sale for fair market value to an owner of adjacent property owned by the county in fee for highway purposes. And that's key to what I'm saying, in fee, meaning the county owns it outright. It wasn't a dedication, it wasn't an easement, meaning the highway was not on a dedicated portion or an easement. The property that we're talking about, and I did work with land information and planning and zoning to verify this, all the property that we're talking about is owned by Jefferson County in fee simple. So the section that I referred to in the resolution 66.1003 is the applicable portion. If you read it, it references towns, cities, and villages, not counties, but there is another statute that says if the county wants to sell property, that's the section that would be used. So it can be kind of confusing, but if you go through the statutes and work your way through it, you'll find that 66.103 is the applicable section that applies here.
Thank you.
Supervisor Smith.
I guess my question is to the supervisor that spoke against this. What is it that you're suggesting we do with this?
Well, so from
Supervisor, please address to the chair and involve.
Okay.
So
I'm wondering what he's
Supervisor
suggesting we
Gross,
would
do you
with
care
this.
to expound?
Yeah, I was just surprised that the county 2 years ago put a culvert in a questionable property. This is nothing new, because this has been going on for years as far as this situation. So we got that little triangle that's basically on the Coots property that it's going to be a different angle. I'm surprised that they didn't put the culvert farther to the east at that time.
Supervisor Zarling.
Could I ask who owned the .69 prior to acquisition by the county, and just was that going all the way back to '69 when that happened, as Mr. Messmer indicated, or is it subsequent to that?
I don't know if anyone from land information can remember our conversations, but we're going back a few years. 69 sounds about right. It might have been earlier. I see Matt standing up. He may have some information for us.
You're testing my memory, but I believe it was the parcel to the north that's currently owned by Messmer, but we'll double check that prior to the next county board meeting for January.
And I guess just a follow-up thing, so then, so apparently whomever was the homeowner of the Winter Olson parcel, presently they had easement for access going back to them through that parcel.
You're saying the prior owner, prior to Winter Olson?
Whomever owned the parcel at that time.
Yeah, it was a public road, and that's how they got back there.
That was
Even when it
public
was
road, okay.
discontinued by the county, it was still used by Winter Olson to get to their house because that's the only way they had to get to their house.
Gotcha.
Mr. Udovich, would you care to add?
I'd just like to, one point of clarification in terms of the culvert that's being discussed. The county did not install that culvert. There was an application submitted by the UNS landowners, and they were the ones that put in the culvert. The county did not put that culvert in, just to clarify that matter.
Thank you.
Mr. Kennard.
Pardon?
Mr. Kennard.
Mr. Kennard.
Yes. Does the Mesmer parcel have another access to his field? I guess that's my question. I remember I was on the highway committee when this came up 2-3 years ago, and there was a lot of discussion, and there was talk about putting another access in for him. Has that ever happened?
Mr. Udovich, you're going to try to address this? Thank you.
We have not as of yet. We have looked at the site, and there are definite possibilities of areas, locations we could work out with Mr. Mesmer as potential locations, but there is not an established access for the Mesmer property at this point in time.
Supervisor Jekyll.
Yes, just to give a little background, several years ago when I was on the highway committee before, we did sell, if you look on this handy dandy sheet, going to the left or west, you'll see kind of how the old roadway went through. We sold that whole parcel to Mr. Mesmer back in the day, and this was kept separate so we could keep the Winter Olson property, which I don't even know if it was theirs at that point, but that's the only reason we didn't sell the whole property to Mr. Mesmer at the time. And yes, the highway commissioner and us have talked, we figured out we could come up with like up to 4 access points, and as stated in the resolution, the highway department would install an access for him, no cost to Mr. Mesmer. And actually, going way back in the day, because I've been living around here my whole life, dealt with all these different farms. This farm and the neighboring farm to the west, if I recall right, were owned by either, family relation, both of them. So the way they got split off, if that's what deemed no access point, isn't, any cause to us on the reasoning why it was, split off that way at the time. And that's why we at the highway committee mostly felt this was the best way to clean it up and give the parcel full access to Highway B legally. Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Supervisor Smith.
At the point we were to sell this and we have to create a new access, is the new access going to cost more than what we're selling the property for? That if we didn't sell the property, we wouldn't have to put in the new access?
Anybody from Highway Committee care to address that? Supervisor Jacob.
Mr. Chair, me and the Highway Commissioner talked about it, and we figured that, no, it would be a wash or even less for the county highway department to install a new access for Mr. Mesmer.
Thank you. Any other questions? Discussion? Seeing none? All in favor of this resolution, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. This takes us to item 12, Human Services Board, Supervisor Jones.
Resolution number 2022-58, authorizing state human service contracts, consortium agreements, professional service and care provider contracts. The Jefferson County Human Service Department contracts with state agencies, consortiums, and in excess of 100 professional service and care providers to fulfill its statutory duties. Each year, contracts are renewed and or updated with additional providers. State law required county board approval of the state contracts set forth in this resolution. The contracts have not been reproduced and attached to this resolution because they total more than 100 pages. The Wisconsin County Human Service Association negotiates the basic agreement on behalf of the counties, which are standard state forms and are not subject to negotiation by individual counties. The professional service and care provider contract list for 2023 is attached. These provider contracts are reviewed by the Jefferson County Cooperation Council to ensure compliance with the county's purchasing ordinance and contain the language and terms set forth by the State of Wisconsin Department of Health Services Purchases of Care Service Guide and in Section 46.036 of the Wisconsin statutes. The Human Service Board considered this resolution at its October 11, 2022 meeting and recommended forwarding to the County Board to approve entering into professional service and care provider contracts with the providers on the attached list and entering into state contracts and consortium agreements as set forth below for 2023. Fiscal note, the costs associated with these state and consortium contracts have been included as the appropriation in the 2023 budget. Mr. Chair, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Jones. Do I have a second? Second. Who is the second? Supervisor Lund is second. Discussion. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. The resolution passes. Item 13, Planning and Zoning Committee. Supervisor Jekyll.
Report to the honorable members of the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors. Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee, having considered petitions to amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County, filed for public hearing held on October 20th, 2022, as required by law pursuant to Wisconsin statutes. Notice thereof having been given and being duly advised of the wishes of the town boards and persons in the affected area, hereby makes the following recommendations. Approval of petitions as listed, dated this 31st day of October 2022, Blaine Paulson, Secretary. And that'll move us on to ordinance number 2022-15,
15.
amending the official zoning map of, whereas Jefferson County Board of Supervisors has heretofore been petitioned to amend the zoning map of Jefferson County, and whereas petitions R 4442A-22 and R 4443A-22 and R 44A-22 were referred to Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Committee for public hearing on October 20th, 2022, and whereas the proposed amendments have been given due consideration by the Board of Supervisors in open sessions, now therefore be it ordained that Jefferson County Board of Supervisors does amend the official zoning map of Jefferson County as follows. Mr. Chairman, I move for passage of ordinance number 2022-15.
Moved by Supervisor Jekyll, second by Supervisor Paulson. Questions? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the ordinance passes. Supervisor Jekyll.
Resolution number 2022-59.
59.
Authorizing entering into a contract with Pictometry International Corporation for oblique and aerial imagery. Digital aerial photography funded by Land Information Program has been a valuable tool for mapping, planning, zoning, land and water conservation, parks, public safety, and other government functions throughout the county. Jefferson County contracted with Pictrimity International Corporation in April and June of 2008 and spring of 2018 to take oblique overhead imagery countywide. Contracting with Pictometry International Corporation for 2023 imagery would maintain county GIS integration tools and other software programs applications developed to access and utilize the historic oblique imagery. Based on the unique services provided by Pictometry International Corporation and the desire to maintain continuity where no other proposals solicited for this project, Jefferson County is also partnering with local municipalities to offer increased coverage within their jurisdictions. Land Information Council met on July 21st, 2022 and recommended funding a 2023 flight of pictometry and aerial photography. In addition, acquiring pictometry data and aerial photography is a project outlined in the 2021 Land Information Plan. Approved utilization of land information funding. The Planning and Zoning Committee considered this resolution at its meeting on October 31st, 2022 and recommended forwarding it to the County Board for approval to contract with Pictometry International Corporation for oblique and overhead imagery in the spring of 2023. Fiscal note. The project included in the 2023 budget Wisconsin Land Information Program grant for 2023 will fund $70,000 of the project cost. The non-tax levy Land Information Program funded by a portion of document recording fees in the Register of Deeds office will fund the remaining amount of the project. The City of Lake Mills, Watertown, and Whitewater will reimburse the county for the cost of higher resolution imagery throughout each city at a per square mile rate. Fiscal note, this resolution has no fiscal impact. Mr. Chairman, I move for passage of this resolution.
Moved by Supervisor Jekyll, second by Supervisor Paulson. Questions?
Can someone just
Oh, Supervisor Morris, I'm sorry.
Can someone just clarify the Land Information Council? Obviously, that must be different from the Planning and Zoning Committee.
I sit on that committee as the representative from the county, and that's a state-required committee to be able to spend those funds. You have to have this committee meet to decide how to spend those particular funds that come from the Register of Deeds.
Is it made up of not just county, but also municipalities?
It's made up of a number of staff members, and I'm a representative of the public, a realtor. Matt, can you help me with who else is on it? It's a council of about 12 people, and we meet once, sometimes twice a year.
Correct. It's statutory defined. It's in the county board rules, I believe. There's a county board supervisor. There's select department heads, if you will, those that are basically called out in statute, like the county surveyor, the zoning administrator. Stacy's on as a register of deeds, county treasurer, member of the public, member of the local realtors. Those are a handful of them.
Got it. Thank you.
Supervisor Backlund, you had your hand up, and I know Mr. Kennard has his up too. So.
Yeah, my question was, why is City of Fort Atkinson, are they not requesting higher imagery? They're not listed with the other big cities, and I was just curious why.
Matt, you want to answer that?
Yeah, correct. I reached out to the City of Fort Atkinson, and they did not want to participate.
Supervisor Kennard.
Yes, I was wondering what the clarity's gonna be on these aerials as far as, I know the 2020 aerials weren't color corrected at all, and sometimes they're awful dark. You can't make out what's going on. I know the 2018s were a whole lot, sometimes better, easier to see. But I was just wondering what the resolution will be, and then are they gonna be color corrected?
The resolution is roughly 3 inch. I think it ranges from 2.6 to 3.7. And for the color issue, we'll keep that in mind and make sure that's brought up in the quality assurance, and we'll also make a side note to the contractor to pay special attention to that.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Kennard?
Yes, we're good.
Any other questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is adopted. Takes us to item 14, appointments by county administrator.
Thank you,
Mr. Waymire.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two sets of appointments tonight. I'm going to actually start with the commissions and boards, and then we'll go to our department head appointment tonight. So by virtue of the authority vested in me under Section 59.18, Parent 2, Parent C of the Wisconsin statutes, I respectfully request confirmation of the following appointments. Mr. Timothy Anhalt of Lake Mills to the Veteran Service Commission for a 3-year term ending December 8th, 2025. Mr. Anthony Gulick of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, to the Bridges Library System Board for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2025. Mr. Richard Moreland of Johnson Creek to the Jefferson County Library Board for the 3-year term ending December 31st, 2025. Mr. Anthony Gulick to Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, to the Jefferson County Library Board for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2025. Mr. Brian Henney of Waterloo, Wisconsin, to the Jefferson County Library Board for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2025. I respectfully request confirmation of these appointments.
So moved by Supervisor Christian. The second was by Supervisor Backlund. Discussion? Questions? All in favor of these appointments, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, they are appointed. Mr. Waymire.
Thank you. My second set of appointments is actually for another department head position tonight. And before I formally request a confirmation of this, Deb is online tonight. She's just came back from Florida. I'm not sure why she came back to snow from 80-degree weather, but she did. But I do briefly want to talk. Deb has been serving that role for almost 6 months as interim director, really working with our communities, our private sector and nonprofit sector folks, and really looking at the needs. And we took some time of how we filled this role, just mainly because we're looking at a strategic plan of the direction of this organization as it supports county and the greater regional area. And a lot of it has really focused on a lot of housing, community development, looking at child care issues, a lot of other issues going forward. And Deb's really stepped up by coordinating housing meetings, working some business expansion programs. And this coming Thursday, we actually have a job fair specifically focused on a Latino population, but we have over 33 businesses already signed up to participate in that. And that's in no small work to the connections and work that Deb has done with many partners. And also, as a side note, she doesn't know this, but many of her fellow colleagues also sent me a little notes of encouragement that we should move forward with Deb being the next appointment. So with that all being said, we did do a external search, and both boards from the Thrive, the 501c3, and the intergovernmental body, Jefferson County Consortium, got together and made a determination she should be the next leader of these organizations and move economic development forward. So with that being said, by virtue of the authority vested in me under Section 59.18, Parent 2, Parent B of Wisconsin State statutes, I respectfully request confirmation of the following appointment. Ms. Deborah Reinbold, Thrive ED President / JCDC Executive Director for indeterminate term. I respectfully request confirmation of this appointment.
So moved by Supervisor Jekyll, second by Supervisor Backlund. Any discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. We do not have, move to item 15, we do not have any public comment of a general nature. So are there any announcements other than our next county board meeting's December 13th at 7 p.m.?
I had signed up for general comment.
Oh, you did? I thought you spoke earlier on that.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I did not.
Okay. Please, Mr. Gross.
All right.
You can, if it's general, why don't you come on right up to the front here? I thought you spoke at your piece at the other one. Okay.
First of all, I want to thank Ben and Audrey. We had another voting irregularity in the town of Concord. These situations have been going on in the town of Concord for decades, okay? This recent one was they ran out of ballots, a week ago. And, they got, Ben and Audrey gave me some answers, okay? And my background is process controls, and it's just really, I'm really surprised that there's no chain of custody for ballots. I've done water, dirt, real involved in the oil industry, that we do chain of custody on all types of products that everyone signs for. I'm really surprised that there's basically no chain of custody for when ballots are being transferred from the county or city to, the different municipalities. That's just, was really surprised. So that's all I need to, that's my comment.
Again, anybody think of any announcements? Otherwise, I entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Supervisor Trimville Heights, second by Mr. Jaco. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned.